while serving in the Air Force and serving at the Air Force Academy, I had the opportunity to go to Louisiana and visit with my father, who's retired from the Air Force as well. And my father is a licensed professional counselor. He works in these group homes. So when I go visit with him in Louisiana, I spend time in these group homes, foster care homes, essentially. And I typically spend time talking to these kids about their future and that type of thing. And I remember one particular visit in a group home, and there were a couple handful of teens in there, and we were trying to talk about their future. And what I realized really quickly is that these teens that I was talking to, these young men, had no vision for a future outside of the 4 street corners that they lived in. And I remember returning back to the Air Force Academy, and I was really almost haunted by that conversation and looking around at these cadets that I was working with who were talking about what jets they were going to fly and what immersion program they were going to go to in the summer. Am I going to go to Spain or Italy? Just a completely different trajectory in terms of where they saw themselves going. And for me, there was something that just tugged at me, and I spent a lot of time struggling. But I got to the point where I realized I could no longer remain in the Air Force and at the Air Force Academy and fulfill my divine purpose in life. I had to be at a place where I could make space to serve kids and youth like the ones that I saw and I engaged with in that group home. And so made the decision to retire, stepped out of the Air Force, not knowing anything about Colorado Uplift at the time, but feeling like that was my call. And of course, I fast forward several months, and I was introduced to Colorado Uplift and what they do, and ended up and was fortunate enough to be hired here. And I can tell you, Walt, I still say this almost 6 years later after being here, I've never been more fulfilled in my life because I really do feel like I'm walking in my purpose and I'm living out my calling. So I'm here out of the Air Force because I felt like I was called out of the Air Force to be exactly where I'm at today. And I believe that passion for me is simply fueled, similar to Lori, by my parents, just watching my parents serve their community, my father serving in the military as well as serving now in his community. That left an impression on me.